The reason I'm creating this video is because I was at the gym. It's about 10:30 p.m. right now. I just got back from the gym about half an hour back, and you might know this already. When I'm at the gym, I'm typically very meditative, right? And today, for some reason, I have absolutely no idea why. Today, for some reason, I kept getting bombarded with thoughts about my time at Goldman Sachs, the 2 years that I spent at Goldman Sachs. Of course, there were lots of lows during that time, but there were lots of highs as well. And you may have, if you're familiar with this channel, you may have actually come across this phrase that I've used in the past. The highs were most definitely higher than the lows were low. And looking back, I mean, since I entered Goldman in July 2016 to now, I think I have gone through a radical transformation in terms of my mentality, in terms of my confidence, in terms of my communication skills, in terms of my the charisma or the social talent that I actually display whenever I'm interacting with people. And I think Goldman, the 2 years that I spent at Goldman were largely responsible for that. And hear me out. Look, even if you aren't like an investment banking aspirant, I think you can definitely either relate to what I'm going to be saying, or you can definitely, seek some inspiration from what I'm going to be talking about. Look, while at Goldman, right, I was constantly around colorful personalities. Both during my time in sales and trading, as well as during my time in investment banking. And the beautiful thing about being around colorful personalities is that they always draw attention. There's something very captivating, something very enthralling, something very transfixing about these colorful personalities, which is why they're called colorful personalities, as opposed to, those personalities being dull, drab, and boring and bland. And whenever, especially as like a shy Indian kid, right, who's coming across such personalities, you are absolutely enchanted by how different they are compared to you. But because you see them just projecting and exuding this immense amount of confidence and self-belief in their ability, you actually feel that, I want to be like Steve one day. Steve might be like a managing director or a partner. And one of the ways in which I actually developed a pair of balls and just became a lot more unflappable, a lot more confident in my own skin, is by actually emulating some of the best in the business that I was around while I was at Goldman. And so, whenever say I lack the courage to do something, lack the courage, say, to pick up the phone, or lack the courage to just speak up, I always reminded myself, always told myself, or nudged myself by asking myself, okay, what would Steve do in this situation? Or what would Jack do in such a situation? Jack and Steve being perhaps people working on the trading floor or within investment banking that I looked up to. And just that simple mental model, or that simple mental nudge, right, used to galvanize me in a massive way. If I want to actually, follow their footsteps or come remotely close to where they are in terms of their confidence, in terms of their self-belief, in terms of their charisma, I have to start doing that now. And it's funny, like I've been having this conversation with quite a few people in the recent past, with a lot of my gym buddies. Back in the days in whatever, like 4 years back, I'm talking as if I'm some like 50-year-old veteran, but back in the day, talking or speaking up meant coming out of my comfort zone, right? Typically, whenever you think of coming out of your comfort zone, you associate it with, okay, doing something that you're afraid of, right? Like speaking up or showing some act of courage. But now it's so funny because of how much I love to speak, because of how much I love to shoot the shit, because of how confident I am in social situations, because of the social talent that I've actually developed over the years, with Goldman being largely responsible for that social talent. Coming out of my comfort zone now means remaining quiet. Like, this is a shower thought that I had in the recent past. It's much harder for me to stay mum, remain quiet, as opposed to actually talk to people. And so now for me, the comfort zone is talking to people, and remaining quiet and staying mum and not champing at the bit to speak means coming out of my comfort zone. So and that's one of the reasons I feel investment banking or whatever, these behemoths or these massive corporations or these beautiful places to work at teach you so much that you can carry on to any other aspect of life. Now think about this, right? I'm talking about communication skills. I'm talking about charisma. I'm talking about just being a big personality, right? Tell me one area of life where these skills aren't applicable. You can't think of any, right? So regardless of whether I end up working in the sports media field, regardless of whether I end up working as a professor, whatever, it could be any domain that I could be applying my trade in, these skills will always come in handy. And that's one of the reasons why, I'm not sure if you've actually come across, if you've gone through my video in which I talk about the goodbye email that I'd sent to my colleagues at Goldman when I was parting ways with the firm. this is something I mentioned, that you know what, more than the technical finance concepts that I learned at Goldman, I think the things that will indelibly stick with me are the interactions that I had with the colorful personalities, just being in that environment of winners, which actually rubbed off on me. You know, it had a beautiful influence, which again, you know, goes to show that your environment can have a massive influence on you, not just in a positive way, but in a negative way as well. You know, think about being around people who are lackadaisical, who don't have as much energy. You feel drained yourself, and so that's contagious in a negative way. But you know, people can have like a contagious effect in a positive manner as well. Whenever you're around people who are high achievers, you feel as if, okay, I should not be just resting on my laurels. I should not be doting on my past triumphs. There's a lot more that needs to be done, and that process is never going to be stopping. You know, that process of self-improvement is a never-ending one, but it's a beautiful process, because oftentimes, you know, you think about where you've gotten right now, and then you compare that to what you were like maybe 4 years back, and sometimes you feel as if, you know what, Anubhav or whoever you might be, give yourself a pat in the back for the advancement or the development you've made, for the improvement, for the progress that you've actually made. Oftentimes you're always thinking about, okay, how can I do more? How can I do more? How can I do more? While very conveniently forgetting about the progress that we've made so far. Of course, it should not be making you complacent in any way, but still, it's good to actually feel a sense of gratitude for the opportunities that you've gotten in your life that have really contributed to your mental makeup. You know, another way in which Goldman helped me tremendously is that despite the fact that, you know, people were working long hours, people were working around the clock, a lot of people pulling 16-hour work days, they still found time to go to the gym, you know, albeit for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, because leaving the desk, say at 8 p.m. to get a quick workout and then coming back to the desk definitely recharged your batteries, and you were ready for another work session until whatever, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I think physical fitness that way has had a massive influence on me. But had it not been for the people around me who set the example in terms of, you know, still putting in the hard yards at the gym despite having like a long work day, I probably would not have been able to muster up the energy to hit the gym even when I knew I was already mentally drained. So that's another way in which I think my time at Goldman like has paid off so handsomely for me and is still continuing to pay off. Another thing that I would like to mention, which goes without saying, is the mental tenacity. You know, the unflappable nature that that bankers or just like employees at Goldman had. You know, coming out of college as an engineer from Georgia Tech, which is one of the hardest engineering institutions in the US, if not the world, I felt that I had a tremendous work ethic, and there was nothing that could actually shatter my spirits or get the better of me. Once I entered Goldman, especially investment banking, that belief of mine definitely went out the window, because I realized that regardless of how strong your work ethic might be, you are still challenged in an environment like investment banking. It's not easy. I mean, in college, you can maybe do it for a couple of days or 3 days, after which, okay, the weekend's around the corner, you can take a break, you can take a chill pill, you can go out drinking, you can smoke up or use whatever stress busters you want to be using. Lekin at Goldman, sometimes you have like a 2-week tsunami, 2 weeks you're just hammered day in and day out. And for the first few days, you can cope, you can manage. But then after a while, even the best in the business can actually break. But for lack of a better cliche, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It makes you not just robust, but it makes you anti-fragile. And what I mean by that is, look, robust, what does robustness mean? Robustness pretty much means, okay, you are strong in the face of adversity. You are strong in the face of a predicament. You are strong whenever you're, facing a precarious situation. You are firm, right? Anti-fragile means you actually become even stronger when a predicament comes your way, when a precarious situation comes your way. So instead of your robustness or your firmness remaining the same in the face of adversity, you actually become even tougher in the face of adversity. So that's the concept of anti-fragility. Anti-Fragile is a book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Dense book, fat book. I haven't read all of it, but after reading a few pages, I sort of understood what the fundamental idea was that he was talking about in that book. And I think the time that I spent at Goldman, those 2 years that I spent at Goldman, definitely made me a lot more anti-fragile that way. I became even tougher in the face of adversity. And I feel now, of course, there's a long way to go, especially if you compare yourself to someone like a David Goggins, right? Who's a next level beast. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of David Goggins, but if you have, please let me know in the comment section. I still think I'm an absolute fucking pussy, compared to like the David Goggins of the world. But I still feel I'm much better now compared to what I was in college and what I was during my time during my initial few months at Goldman Sachs. And look, one of the reasons I say that is because I had a very strong work ethic. Don't get me wrong. I had a very strong work ethic in college, had a very strong work ethic at Goldman as well. But the difference was that I actually needed lots of these stimulants and stress busters to actually act as an antidote to the long hours that I had to pull, in my engineering life as well as during investment banking. What I'm trying to say is, I would not have survived engineering, or I would not have survived Goldman Sachs without the drinking and the smoking and the smoking up, like smoking weed every now and then, because those acted as or the binge eating as well. Oftentimes, those actually provided pleasure to me, quick pleasure, like quick hits, which acted as an antidote to the suffering that I was going through during my engineering life as well as during my time at Goldman Sachs. But now I feel I don't necessarily, not as much, of course I still fall prey, I still succumb to temptation. I'm human at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to jerk myself off or blow my own trumpet. But now, even when I'm going through a period of stress, and a sustained period of stress, the good thing is I do not necessarily need these crutches like alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana to actually prop up my spirits, to lift my spirits. It's hard. The going gets tough, but as I said, I can face adversity now without needing crutches in the form of nicotine, alcohol, marijuana, so on and so forth. And so, look, overall, I just thought about just turning on my camera app, filming this video on a very impromptu basis. I actually sat down to read a book, and for some reason, I don't know why, I have absolutely no idea why, like since the time of my workout up until now, these last like 4 hours, I've completely been bombarded with thoughts of gratitude, towards the 2 rewarding years that I spent at Goldman. And that's one of the reasons why people say, when you're working even 2 years at a place such as Goldman Sachs, of the caliber of Goldman Sachs, it's equivalent to maybe 4 years or 5 years or 6 years that you would spend at a different, more ordinary sort of organization. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to, not continue to achieve the goals and the dreams and everything that I have in mind. But every now and then, just, pondering over or reminiscing about or reflecting on the past certainly, fills you with this sense of gratitude, fills you with this sense of appreciation. And look, of course, I know the fact that you typically, people, it's human nature to actually look back on your past with rose-tinted glasses. That's why they say people tend to wallow in nostalgia. But look, I'm cognizant of the fact that the lows were brutally low, but I think the highs were exceptionally high as well. And so eternally grateful to this time that I spent there. Hopefully you enjoyed this very impromptu video. Marcus Aurelius used to note down his meditations, like everything that he used to think about while meditating. And hence we have the book Meditations. And so I just thought about, maybe making my meditations, my thoughts public as well. These were thoughts that sprung to my mind while I was working out earlier. Thanks a lot, for giving me company from start to finish. And as always, if you enjoy this video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It'll mean a lot to me. As a small YouTuber, every new subscription counts a lot. And so grateful as always for your support, and please do join me for the next video. And in case you want more such impromptu videos when I'm just having a conversation with you and speaking my mind without any script whatsoever, then let me know. Give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section. Until next time, take care, stay safe, keep smashing it, and cheers.